NBA 2K19. And this, like I said, this game just came out a couple days ago, and I had a copy, and I was going to tell you all my thoughts and impressions on it. So let's see here. Also, this game is available for Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PS4. And you can also play as the current teams or some of the historic teams as well. Let's see. So there's a look at, you can play as some of the all-time Oklahoma Thunder, all kinds of different choices. Oh, you can actually play as Team LeBron. Well, that's a new one. Didn't expect that one. All right, let's see here. What we got? Memphis. We'll just go ahead and forget about Memphis right now. All right, let's try out. Let's see. Let me see here. How about the Utah Jazz versus the LeBronless Cavs? But as you can see here, the presentation for the pregame show, it's really improved a lot. They've definitely taken a look at more details as far as presentation wise. Uh, there are several gameplay improvements. One of those is called it's your defensive system is based on a zone, and based on if your offensive player has the ball exposed, or if they might be at the post not guarding the ball, it makes it easier to steal. So they have made some updates and changes to the steal system. So that's a big bonus for players that really hone in defensively. And then also you have a big change offensively as well. It's similar to kind of like an on fire mode that NBA Jam had back in the day. Like if your player gets to where that he's hitting several shots in a row, he'll have an icon that shows where he is actually showing up as on fire. So it'll be much easier for him to hit a lot of shots open in a row. So, and this is not a PS4 Pro. So if you do have a PS4 Pro, it's going to help you visually, and then also most likely you'll have some frame rate improvements as well. But so far they have several different types of shot meters uh, for your different shots that you're going to take. As you can see there, mine was a late release and the coverage was open. So it does add a layer of strategy as far as who you're taking your shots with, where you're taking the shots from, the type of defensive coverage you have in your face, and all those type things. And one thing I've noticed, and I'll be honest, I haven't played 2K since about probably 2K17, is that it seems like the passes are a lot more fluid than they were in past editions of NBA 2K, where you could throw it into the post, and then unfortunately your player that was in the post would get the pass batted away. So they've really made a lot of improvements as far as the passing system as well, and just different refinements also. And I also like that your players actually begin to do a post move, which was something not always that they would always do in the past. Sometimes they would just take an awkward jump shot. So that makes a difference as well. Let's see if I can get a score here. One thing I will notice, talking about your offense and scoring, is you use your touchpad uh, to choose between different offensive sets and also different defensive sets as well. For example, you can, I don't remember the specifics, but like on one of them, you can swipe down and then to the right, I think, to do a 3-2 defense. Uh, I'm not in favor of this really. I tried it, and the using the touch controls for different um, offensive and defensive setups for your play calling is a little wonky, to be honest, and I'm just not really a big fan of that. And honestly, if you're not a 2K veteran, which I'll be honest, I'm not, it does take several games to get your shooting mechanics down because each player does have shots specific to them. For example, John Wall is not going to shoot the ball the same as Kevin Durant. So this game you have to take into account those type of differences as well. But as far as the team defense, I think it's a lot more refined. I do think it's a lot more realistic in the sense that you can't just mash the steal button and get steals now. And again, I think that goes to the improvements they've made on making steals realistic. Because those of you that played live back in the day know that you could spam the steal button and probably end up with about 6 or 7 steals. So on this game, you can definitely not do that, and you'll get called for it. So the realistic level is very high. The presentation level is very high. But I will say that if you bought last year's edition, uh, I personally would wait until this game drops to down to about $45 or $40, somewhere in that range, because even though the enhancements and the new updates are nice, the core gameplay is still the same. So unless you're willing to go ahead and spend $60 from the jump, it might be a smarter decision to maybe wait till it has a small bit of a price drop. However, with that being said, it is a very solid game. I do think the another thing that's improved is as far as your driving mechanics and your entry passes, like you see right there. It's a lot more smoother and natural. Um, and then in the past, you would have times where it seemed like you couldn't get much separation from your defender when you were trying to run offensive plays and moves. And I do think that is much improved from past editions of NBA 2K. And also, there is a pretty lengthy training mode when you first log on to this game for the first time, and it allows you to learn all about the game and all of the different advanced button maneuvers, and that can be helpful as well if you're not sure how to do the post moves or anything of the sort. And also, the way you shoot free throws is there's 2 different ways, just like there has been in the past. But you, like I said, you do use the shot meter again for your shots at the foul line and also your shots during the game. One change they did make is you can now determine which year of NBA 2K shot meter that you would like to use for the particular game that you're playing. So, for example, if you don't like how they did it in the 2K19 version, you can go back to the shot meter of NBA 2K17, for example. But so those are some different changes they've made that make it I guess, more accessible to people that want to play a different play style than what's presented to them. Uh, and like I said, it definitely gives the player more choices and more options moving forward. And I'll be honest, I haven't heard a ton of the commentary, but it's probably just like most sports games, to be honest, where that eventually it'll get kind of stale. But like I said, the overall presentation of the game and the polish of the game is as you would expect a $60 AAA budget release to be, and it's a very solid game thus far. The thing I do find most the most adjustment period too is you really have to get a handle on the shooting mechanics and learning how to properly time your release, and then of course, like I said, base it upon how heavily you're being guarded. And just like in past NBA 2K games, your stars have the star icon. Your 3 point marksmen have the three symbol, and there's also one for explosive like jumpers and aerial dunkers and what have you. So those are all still the same distinguishables that you would have in the past. All right, got to get on the scoring train here. And I have not watched the halftime show, but I do know that from different research I've done that it does have the same type of halftime show that you would expect. And there's an example of you know where it tries to portray them talking to the players, just like if you were watching it on a ABC or NBC or ESPN broadcast. So I thought that was a nice touch to bring up the overall presentation level of the game as well. All right, let's see. And your post moves are still the same, even though there's been some small changes on offense and things like that. Your post moves are still the same in the same manner that they were in the past. One thing I will notice if you that it's a game that's called a lot closer. That if you have a situation where that you take the ball to the basket. In the past games, it seemed like you would almost get tackled and a foul wouldn't be called. But as you could see on that play there, it's a lot better, more realistic called game, and it makes it more enjoyable for the player too because it's actually called correctly. And as you see there, each player has a different rating when it comes to shooting and, of course, free throws and everything of the such. See if I can get it better here. There we go. All right. And like I said, you can use the touch controls to help you set up your defense. I think it's pretty much a dumb idea, to be honest, that most people won't use. But if you can get used to it and if you can practice it, then it'll probably give you advantage over the rest of the field. And one thing I like, as you saw there, I was actually able to pass to the open player without that ball getting, just inadvertently randomly stole from me. So that's another good positive improvement that may seem small, but when you're playing in a basketball game, it makes a big difference. And as far as the overall fun level of this game, I would definitely give it a 9 out of 10 because it is a lot more fun than past 2K games because, of course, as many of you know, 2K is a simulation based basketball game. And It's not the arcadey style, but I do like how they've made the improvements on offense and then also added the appropriate changes to defense as well. And the overall score that I would give this game, if you add in your visuals, your sound, all those type of presentation elements, they're all on point. And this game, as far as an overall rating, would get a rating of 9.5. And that's really high for sports games. But there really isn't anything that competes with this sports title wise. I think NBA Live will make a good run at it, but we'll remain to be seen how good that game actually turns out to be. But I think this is a very solid edition of NBA 2K, and it can't be compared to a score of, say, Spider-Man, for example, because they're two different games that are in two totally different genres. They're both great games, and like I said, if you already own it, if you already own one of the past versions, say like 2K18 or 17, maybe wait till it drops to about $40 or $45. And then if you don't own it and you haven't played it in a few years, I definitely think it's worth your money. And if you're a basketball fan, you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So it gets the Cobra Video Gaming seal of approval. And thank you all that have checked out this video. And be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you for watching, and take care. Until next time.